Hi everyone, it's Michelle here today. Thank you so much for stopping by and checking out my video. Recently, I shared with you on YouTube in one of my videos some of my past dating stories, and a lot of you really enjoyed some of these stories. They were my more amusing dating stories. Now, keep in mind, this was some time ago in a faraway land, in a faraway time. Well, actually, it was in a different location, and it was quite some time ago. So today, I thought I'd share a few more of my dating stories. I absolutely love a good yarn. The guys weren't bad guys. Please don't get the wrong idea. None of the guys were bad guys or terrible guys at all. Well, a couple of them weren't so nice, to be honest, but that happens when you're dating. That happens in the world in general. And probably what's amusing to me might not be so amusing to another woman. What I really want to show you is these incredible fake crystal, cobalt blue earrings. Aren't they to die for? Once again, online and so economic. I never pay much for any costume jewelry online. These might have been only $4 or $5. They're quite heavy, but aren't they gorgeous? Isn't the color beautiful? Teaming up great with this dress. So I thought I'd really go with the cobalt blue, royal blue theme today. I'm all in blue. I'm the blue lady. Well, what timing. Just as I sat down, the power cut out. All the power's gone, so I have no lighting, only what's coming in through the door. I'm not sure it's going to be good enough. I'm only sharing some of my dating experiences, so it's probably not that important that I have the perfect lighting for this video. First guy I want to mention is Mr. Octopus. Okay, so what happened was I had a date with this guy and it went quite well actually. I liked him. He was a very stylish dresser and I liked that. The first date went quite well. But then as we were talking after the date, he was ringing me and texting and so forth, I discovered that he was still living with his wife. Yes, they were in the process of getting a divorce and they were still living together, and I felt incredibly uncomfortable about that. And I thought, oh, that's not me, that's not for me. It's too early, you're not ready, pass. About a year or so later, he contacted me and he said, well, the divorce is all finalized, I'm living by myself, would you like another date? And I thought, well, yeah, I would actually, because I quite liked him. Well, I don't know what happened to that guy in that year. I think he did a lot of dating in that year. He decided that we would meet at a bar. Talk about embarrassing. We sat side by side on one of these lovely seatings in this really nice bar, and he would not stop touching me. He would not stop. There was some young people sitting opposite us across the room, and they were giggling and laughing and smirking because he would not stop. He was touching my arm, he was touching my legs, and I was moving further and further until I was squashed up into the corner. I'm backing away and backing away. It was embarrassing, plus I found it disrespectful. It was just far too much touching going on. And I kept trying to change the topic of conversation. I felt so uncomfortable, and I don't know what happened. I don't know why he became like that. So after all the touching, and honestly, I just wanted to run. I wanted to bolt. So I didn't stay that long. I think I persevered for about an hour or more, and I just thought, this is wrong. And he sent me a text, you know, sometime next day or whatever, and just said, you're not for me. And I thought, really? No, honey, it's the other way around. You're not for me. But anyway, I said, you're not for me because I'm looking for a woman who's very tactile and is very highly sexual. And I thought, wow, that is just too forthright from the get-go. But he was trying to, I think, screen women really quickly. And he explained to me in his text that that was one of the reasons that he got divorced, because his wife was no longer interested in having sex. And I thought, yeah, I could understand that being with you. And he was Mr. Octopus. It was a horrible date. So he wasn't a very nice guy, that one actually. So I called him Mr. Octopus. This one, the dead wife. Okay, the dead wife story. Yeah, it was sad. Yes, it was very sad, but it had been quite a few years. So we had a lunch date. They were very slow at the restaurant. So in the meantime, I had a couple of drinks while I'm waiting. I usually never drink on an empty stomach. It doesn't suit me at all because I have very low tolerance to alcohol. Drinking on an empty stomach can be a recipe for disaster actually for me. The whole time we're waiting for the meal, and they were incredibly slow. He proceeded to tell me all about his wife that had passed. I heard the whole story from where they met, the day they met, where they went, the wedding, the honeymoon, the whole thing. I mean, it just went on, and how gorgeous she was, how beautiful she was, how incredible she was. It had been many years. Now, she died accidentally, apparently. She slipped beside a swimming pool in their home and fell over. It was a tragic story, but I'm starting to think, oh, I hope he didn't push her. My mind started, with the alcohol and him just talking non-stop about his ex-passed on wife or deceased wife, I'm starting to think all sorts of things. I'm thinking, oh, what if he pushed her? Oh, no, that's dreadful, I know. And then I had to hear this tragic story, and it was really, really disturbing how he found the body. And first date. I couldn't wait for that food to come quick enough. And I had more drinks after that. Then I had to stay there and listen to more about the wife, the ex-wife, and he even showed me a photo, and I thought, hello, I'm sitting here, I'm not too bad, and I'm alive. Anyway, I had to wait a really long time because I'd had the alcohol and I didn't want to drive. I didn't feel safe to drive because I didn't want to get fined because of this man who'd driven me to drink. I did come home. I stopped off at the bottle shop, picked up a bottle of wine or something, and got further drunk. I got smashed, absolutely smashed that day because he blew my mind. I had all these images in my mind and all this information. He was oblivious, completely oblivious to what he'd done and what he was doing. And yeah, and then I told a friend that I saw a photo of the wife that had passed away, and she just joked and said, oh my God, I hope it wasn't in the coffin. It wasn't, of course, but I thought that was a comical joke. I mean, yeah, you know, it's hard to make fun of tragedy like that, but at the time I didn't really care that much. So yeah, let me tell you about my dead wife. Oh, not a good date, not a good date. And I did send him a text message and I was very upset. I said, please don't do that to any woman ever again. Please don't do that. I don't think you realize what you were doing. And he sent me a very nasty text back, very nasty, and said he didn't think he did anything inappropriate. I completely disagree. He did do something extremely inappropriate, but he didn't want to learn the lesson. So obviously other women probably got subjected to these stories about the ex-wife. You know, when you're dating, it's one of the things that you're told not to do. Do not talk very much or at all really about your exes. Just not on a first date. No talking about exes. Maybe a mere mention that you were married or were in a relationship of whatever duration it was. So it's kind of a no-no. And man, did he go way past that no-no. He blew my mind, that guy. Like I said, I got completely drunk. Well, that's what dating is like. You can't allow 1 or 2 or, 10 or 20 or 30 bad dates put you off forever. You kind of reach your limit though sometimes. So who have I got next? Gotta Meet the Family. This is stories called Gotta Meet the Family. All the family at once. He was a lovely guy actually. I quite liked this guy. Because of his heritage, he was very family oriented, and that's a beautiful thing. I am not as extreme as that, nowhere near like that. But he really liked me a lot. He was quite a bit younger than me, this guy, and I liked him, sort of, but I knew that our lifestyles probably weren't going to gel. One was because of his family, his involvement, close involvement, incredibly close involvement with his family. You know, oddly, that's a bit scary to me. I like a little bit, but not overkill. So we had one date and it went quite nicely, but I did have reservations. Now he wanted a second date, and on the second date, he was having his birthday, a big milestone birthday, and he was having a big birthday bash. And he wanted to take me as a date, and I was very flattered by that. He said, all the family are going to be there. They're flying up from here and there. And I can't wait for you to meet auntie this one and uncle that one and mum and dad and the kids. And it was just too much. It was too much. I was absolutely terrified because it was a second date. I hardly knew the guy. I couldn't even say we were dating. I was very honored that he wanted me to meet the family, and he thought so much of me and liked me to meet the family. I would have had to have sort of indicated to the family that we were a couple and we were dating, and we weren't. So it was just far too much, the pressure of that. I used to break out in a sweat just thinking about it, and I didn't know how to tell him that I didn't want to. I didn't want to hurt his feelings. Nobody wants to hurt anyone's feelings, but you know, I couldn't cope with the pressure, and I didn't think it was the right time. It was not the right time. I didn't just think that, I knew that. I had to send him a text and tell him I'm really sorry. I know he was very disappointed. He let me know. But I thought, what are you thinking? I know he was disappointed, but I thought, what are you thinking and why put me in this position? He kept saying, you're going to love Aunt this, and you're going to love the uncle, and you're going to love them. And I thought, well, maybe I will, maybe I won't. I don't know, but I don't even know you. So, yeah, I think he was just too keen, way too keen. So, yeah, you got to meet the family. Oh, lovely guy. This is on a first date, this one. On a first date, I am buying a brothel. What do you think? What did I think? You're not for me. Another lunch date. This was another lunch date. This is why I don't love lunch dates. And as soon as we sat down, he said, oh, I've just been on the phone to blah, 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 and I'm negotiating to buy a business. Okay, that's cool, that's good. So what is this business? Oh, it's a brothel. It's a brothel, and it's in another town away from here, and I've gone and checked it out several times, and it looks really lucrative, and I'll be living in, I think there was a premises attached to it, and you know, if we get along, you'll be able to come up and visit. I was speechless. I was completely speechless. This is a first date. There is just no way on God's earth. I am not opposed to brothels, don't get me wrong, or prostitution. You know, knock yourself out, but it's not something I wanted in my life. And I thought, how would you introduce your partner? You know, because people often say, what do you do for a job or a crust, you know? How would I introduce my partner? Well, this is my partner, and he owns and runs a brothel. I could just imagine the expressions on, you know, my kids' faces and people's faces. Yeah, it was, and he told me all about it during the lunch. He was even going over the figures with me, and oh my God, I'm just thinking, shut up, please just shut up. You know that Black Eyed Peas song? I'm just, yeah, shut up, please shut up. I was baffled. I thought, wow, do you not realize you're sitting here with a woman you don't know, you've never met? That's a lot. That's a big thing to sort of dump on someone you don't know at all, and particularly a female, you know, because, well, I don't know. There's lots of issues around brothels and prostitution, and you know, I'm not opposed to it. I'm really not. It's a bit of an icky business, and it often attracts criminals, underworld characters, unsavory characters? Well, it does. I know that it does. And it's just not a world that I ever wanted to belong to or have anything to do with. Yeah. Yeah. So that story was, I'm buying a brothel, what do you think? I'm thinking, I'm out of here. Okay, so I'll finish up with my last story because otherwise this video will be way too long. Another story is titled, You Aren't Very Hungry, Are You? Another lunch date. So we sit down, and this was in an affluent suburb. And we'd already had a couple of phone chats. So I knew this guy wasn't broke by any means. He told me he owned a lovely big home with a swimming pool. He was semi-retired, and he told me he was tutoring in classical music, classical guitar actually. He told me how much he was earning. He said, I can't believe I'm earning such fantastic money doing one-on-one tutoring of classical guitar. But he was semi-retired, he'd done very well in his life. This guy was not broke by any means. So we sit down, and at the lovely restaurant, it was a really nice restaurant, affluent suburb as I said, we sit down, and the very first thing he said to me was, You aren't very hungry, are you? And I didn't know how to answer that. And I didn't know what that was implying, but I had the hunch that he was saying, please don't spend much of my money. I'm paying for lunch, so I don't want you to eat very much. I think that's what he was implying, because no one had ever said that to me before, and I didn't know how to take that. And in fact, I was a little bit hungry because I'd waited to eat with him. And I was actually, and I didn't know what to say. No, not terribly. Why? I did want to know why. I said, oh, well, I just didn't think you'd be ordering that much. Wow, I was tempted at that point to get up and leave because there was no way that I would have been, you know, inconsiderate enough to order lobster or the most expensive meal or the most expensive wine or whatever ever. I've never done that anywhere with any guy. Anyway, I kind of kept it very tame with what I ordered. I didn't eat a lot. I ate just enough, but not a lot. I went home later and ate more. But he also told me when we were sitting there chatting, he was telling me about his son, and the son had bought the girlfriend a birthday cake. And I said, yeah, that's really nice. But he was very upset about it. I said, why would you be upset that your son bought his girlfriend a birthday cake? And he said, oh, he spent a lot of money on it. He got it specially made just for her, and he spent quite a bit of money on it when he could have just went and bought a cake anywhere. And personally, I think that's a gorgeous gesture that he went to all that effort. And he said, yeah, he could have just bought one, you know, for 20 bucks somewhere, but he spent like $60 or $70 on her and a cake. Oh, it was all, the pieces were really coming together very, very quickly. True colors were being revealed very quickly with this guy. After he told me all the money he was making and how well off he was, and then he behaved like that. And you know, it's one of my pet peeves. Penny pinching is one of my pet peeves. In fact, it might be my #1 pet peeve. And he wanted to date me after that. In fact, even while we were sitting there, he kept saying, I can't wait to have you over to my house because I want to cook for you. I thought, yeah, you want to cook for me because you'll buy discounted budget food and make me a cheap meal or something, no doubt, knowing you. Okay, everyone, that's enough dating stories for this time, because there are plenty more, believe it or not. Yes, I've had some very unusual experiences, but I'm sure anybody that's dated, and listen, I know people that have dated 3 to 4 times more than I have. I haven't dated in a really long time. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I'm sorry about the lights. They haven't come back on. The power's not back on. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I really appreciate it, and I hope you like my little stories. Bye-bye now. Oh, stay safe. Please stay safe. Remember, no complacency. This is not the time to be complacent. Bye-bye now.